What is up, people of the internet? Welcome back to another episode of the Waveform podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Marquez.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm David.
And we are back to your regularly scheduled programming. Of course, we're still going to have more guest episodes, but last week we talked to Simone Yetch. It was super fun. Check it out if you haven't seen it already. This week, we've got a lot to talk about. We've got the new Moto Razr, which I think is really interesting. The Razr Plus, actually. A new AI image generating camera. I haven't seen this, but I'm very curious. Also, WWDC is around the corner. By the time you listen to this, it might be happening already, but we also are going to wrap it up with a Q&A. So we got a lot to get to. I think that first, though, we should start with Ford. Ford made some moves.
They did.
Actually, just one move.
Yeah.
They made one move.
A couple of moves.
Yeah. One move that has a couple moves inside of the singular move.
They collabed,
They collabed, yes.
basically. Ford did a collab.
It's like a multi-movement. You
Sure.
know.
A compound movement.
Compound. There we
It's
go.
a compound movement. So Tesla and Ford have collaborated. Basically, what's happening is Ford has realized that Tesla superchargers are really, really good. And instead of contributing to a public network or building their own network, what they're doing is making their cars able to charge on as many Tesla superchargers as possible via several movements. One of those movements is by enabling them in Ford Pass. So you get an adapter, theoretically, I believe, and in Ford Pass, you'll be able to pull up to any number of the enabled, I think, thousands of superchargers when this starts to go live and plug in your Ford EV at a Tesla supercharger. The other move, which I think is actually way more interesting, is starting in 2025, all of Ford's new shipping EVs will have the NACS connector. For those who don't know, that's the North American charging standard, I believe it's called, but that's the connector that all of Teslas use in North America. It's basically the charging port from a Tesla.
Chargers, yeah.
So all of the Mach-E's and F-150 Lightnings and whatever other EVs they're making at that point, starting in 2025, will all have the Tesla connector, and they'll be able to plug into a supercharger with no adapter, max speeds. I assume if you have an adapter, you're limiting your speeds. That's a pretty big shift. That's one way of addressing our customers really need more chargers. How do we feel about this?
This just reminds me of this XKCD comic. If you've seen this one, I will read it to the audience.
That's a classic.
Situation. There are 4 competing standards. 14. That's ridiculous. We need to develop one universal standard that covers everyone's use cases. Yeah. Soon. Situation. There are 15 competing standards.
This happens a lot.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting, though, because in the EV world, there's really 2 ports.
2.5.
If you want to call it.
Yeah.
So, but the big ones are CCS and NACS. And it depends on kind of where you live, what you'll see a lot. If you live in Europe, you basically only see CCS. Teslas all have CCS, etc. In North America, in order to use a Tesla supercharger, you must be driving a Tesla, which uses a different port than all of the rest of the cars in North America. A bunch of other cars using CCS, just Teslas use NACS. And so Ford's like, yeah, we kind of just want to jump on this supercharger network. I'm sure some money exchanged hands. I don't know the details of how this worked out, but this collab, I think, is a win for Ford EV buyers.
100%.
It's a win for Ford because it makes all of their EVs much more compelling. I think the Mach-E is about as close to a Model Y equivalent as you could possibly get at this point. And F-150 Lightning now is way more road trippable. Like, I could happily road trip being able to Tesla supercharge in an F-150 Lightning. So, yeah, it's a win as far as they're concerned. I think you can only consider it an L if you are a Tesla driver who's already experiencing really high wait times or busy superchargers. And that's about it.
That's the only thing, that's the only downside I see of this is, I will wait for the day when people are going to be like, I'm mad at Tesla because now all these other cars are at my charger and I'm waiting in long lines. I think on the East Coast, that's not that big of an issue. On the West Coast, there are some pretty long waits, but overall, this is a huge win. I also think it is really cool because the main announcement was 2025 Ford adapting NACS, but they said within next year or as early as next year, 12,000 superchargers in US and Canada will have the software integration to allow all the Ford cars, and I'm assuming we get an adapter at that point.
Yeah,
so
12,000.
I just wonder here, anything before next year, will Ford sell the adapter to these people? I'm sure they'll have some sort of software update, because
Yeah.
there's no way they're going to leave behind the 2022, 2023 Mach-E's and F-150s.
Yeah, I think all those people get this update as well. Yeah, 12,000. It was funny because when we did that video charging the Rivian on the Tesla Supercharger, it was one of like 5 chargers in the US that got enabled with this dock, and you have to have the Tesla app and use the adapter. But yeah, this is specifically like, all right, you've got the Ford, it will work.
Yeah.
That's pretty sweet.
I have mixed feelings about this.
Interesting.
As someone who personally experienced the terrors of CCS road tripping in the Mach-E from Ford,
Yeah, that's right. It was the Mach-E.
and got not enough sleep because of it. That sounds great. I mean, if we had done this road trip and our Mach-E had the Tesla Supercharger, we probably would have gotten there at about the same time as you guys.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen that, it's on the studio channel. It's called the
I think we
1,000
just have,
Mile
like, road-
Race.
I think ours might have just been like road trip vlog for studio channel.
Yeah, we did a road trip between a long range gas car, the longest range Tesla, and the longest range non-Tesla at the time, which was the Mach-E. Brandon and I got there 13 hours later.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Spoiler.
I feel mixed on this because it's great. The supercharger network is already massive, but the US in general is also spending tons of money to expand CCS, and there's been such a long period of time when everyone's been trying to decide, okay, what is the standard? What is the standard? What is the standard? Because if you go to a gas station, sure, there's like diesel, whatever, but it's all the same type of pump. It doesn't really matter like what's on the inside. As long as the connector is the same, that's all that really matters. And having these two competing ones is kind of weird now because Ford, makes the most popular car in the US, like the F-150, right?
Yep.
So if you have like Tesla and Ford that have the Tesla charger, and then you have everyone else on CCS, it's just going to like create this awkward separation. And then there's the whole thing where in the EU, Tesla has to use CCS. Mm-hmm. So it just feels like a standards mess. And I was kind of hoping that Tesla eventually just switched to CCS and retrofitted all of its superchargers with magic adapters.
Here's the thing about that. The NACS connector is better. And that's
It is better. It's so much smaller. It's
smaller,
so much faster.
Thin cable, super fast. And like they've built the whole network. They've spent all those billions of dollars in the US to like optimize this. We've got 250 kilowatt chargers and that thin cable plugging it right in. And that's so well done in the US that the only reason they do it in Europe is because they had to.
Yeah.
I'm sure they would love to also do NACS everywhere. So
do you know why? Like, I know that Elon was trying to make NACS the standard, and it just didn't happen. Do you know why it didn't happen?
I don't know exactly. I'd have to look up the details, but I'm pretty sure that they were forced to use CCS.
It's because it was called NACS. Europe. Can't use that in Europe.
Can't use that in Europe. Well, even in the U.S., right? Like the Biden administration just put like a ton of money into developing chargers throughout the United States, but I'm pretty sure it's mostly CCS chargers.
It'll be CCS.
Well, it had to be, I believe in that bill, the charging network had to be able to use more than a single company's worth of electric vehicles, which I think is why we saw that push to the, what's the like magic adapter or whatever? Like
Magic dock.
The magic dock. Yeah. So like this feels like maybe potentially one part of that. I do think one thing here that's a little different and not as bad in terms of standards is like, Teslas all come with an adapter for CCS no matter what, right?
No, they did until 2022.
Now they charge you?
They charge you for CCS.
It doesn't come with it anymore.
Okay, well, I guess we're going to turn into this point of, are you going to start getting charged for that, or is it going to come with your car? Because it does seem like the software enabling is what was blocking CCS from using, or non-Tesla chargers from like having some sort of an adapter. Like, I don't think there was any hardware difficulties of creating the adapter. I'm sure someone could have done it, but software was limiting it. I don't think adapting both ways is going to be that hard. And like, if we see this magic dock, they're obviously opening it up for more people. So that will be open for other sides. And then also Ford and Teslas can still go use Electrify America or any of those as well.
Yeah. I guess I'm just worried about my mom. How is my mom going to know what to do?
I mean, you're not wrong. Yeah. It's totally fair.
That's my main concern.
Yeah.
So
I hope they make it really easy. Like with the Rivian, they give a software update. So now you can see compatible chargers and they include the Tesla superchargers. But there's still a process of like, well, you have to have the Tesla app and a Tesla account and then enable it in the Tesla, all that stuff.
Yeah.
ideally they make this easy with software, but that's not really up to them. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Wait, did you guys see what Faraday Future announced?
Yes.
We did.
I think we all had
You wanna
fun
talk
making
about
fun
this?
of it very quickly. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, 2017 is the first time I ever saw a Faraday Future vehicle. I made a
Yeah.
video about it at CES. So this
Yeah.
is like 6.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Can I throw like an anecdote in there to how long ago that was? When Marquez offered me the job or said we should think about working here, you were at the CES before I started working here, I showed your Faraday video to people I was telling who I was going to work for.
Yeah. So there was no team.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just like, and even at this point, there was some hype. So like Faraday had been building hype before this, and it was all the way until 2017 when we first got to see it. And I remember when I was there, they had the classic never going to ship a vehicle setup. It was one engineering sample with an unfinished interior.
I remember that.
And one finished vehicle that doesn't drive.
Yeah.
And so if you can just imagine them as one vehicle,
Yeah.
this is going to ship sometime soon, right? So I made the video. I enjoyed it. It was nice and quick and zippy. And they were like, yeah, this is going to be a great thing. So Faraday Future, pretty great name because fast forward, 6 years now into the future. They still haven't shipped any. And they keep insisting that they're going to ship some. And I've seen so many different versions of them going, okay, now we're going to ship. Mm-hmm. This is the first interesting one because they're putting up a configurator and there's a price tag and some specs. So let me just go through that.
Doesn't mean anything.
It doesn't.
Did you see Electric's headline for this?
What
I
did
think
they
it
say?
could not describe it better. It says Faraday Future starts shipping FF91 with many buzzwords and a $309,000 price tag.
Yep.
They shouldn't have
So-
said ship. They shouldn't have said shipping. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
they
not.
haven't. They plan on shipping just like they've always planned on shipping. Trust me, Faraday. I hear you saying you're planning on shipping, but you're gonna have to now ship to people who will actually pay this price. So, as you heard, base price Faraday Future FF91 $309,000. I'll just let that sink in for a second.
yeah.
For a completely untrusted, untested
For a new company, CCS.
Just new.
That isn't the base price. That's the limited edition price. The new base price that will come out later is $250,000.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
boy.
How dare you.
I apologize. It's just a launch
Affordability.
price. Way totally different stratosphere. Here are the specs for the $309,000 brand new whatever it's
Why
called.
the $9,000? Why
don't
not
know.
just $299?
It's like
great
sometimes when you make the price a little bit different, it means more like it feels more like there's a
Specific.
reason for that. Like,
Signaling.
well, we just couldn't cut any more costs. We need to add that 9,000.
Yeah. If it was $299, you'd be like,
It's
that
make
could
or
have been
break.
$200.
This company might not exist if they just charge 300.
Exactly.
For
So
the-
this is what you'd get. So that it's like a sort of a crossover. Think of what is this? It's like an EQS type of shape, like a big EQE, maybe.
It's weird looking.
It's a crossover SUV type thing. 2 rows though. Sporty. It's got a 2.27 second 0 to 60, 155 mile an hour top speed. So that reminds me of like a performance Model Y, probably a Plaid Model X, I guess. 381 mile range. They're going to make 300 of them for this launch version. 22-inch wheels, triple motors, 1,050 horsepower, and 142 kilowatt hour battery. So, I mean, anybody in? Anybody in?
300 globally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is fine because like maybe they'll make a whole bunch. Maybe they'll actually manufacture a whole bunch more of the $250,000 spec. But this is the launch the launch version. I just don't know how they're gonna get anyone to buy.
Yeah, I don't know.
this.
There was a cool tidbit in the Electric article that said when they first announced in 2017, they had 64,000 reservations after the first 36 hours. And then like a year or two ago, they checked back in and they had 14,000 unpaid reservations and 400 paid reservations.
Wasn't there
And
a
that
guy,
was before this price tag also.
Wasn't there a guy that either tweeted at one of us or emailed one of us saying, "Hey, just wondering if you want to buy my Faraday Future reservation.
Yes.
I already
Somebody
paid
offered-
for it. It's $50,000."
Someone generously offered their spot in line if I would just pay the $50,000 that they paid. Yeah,
Yeah.
nah.
I also want to note that they like, is this a leaked investor deck or like what is this deck that you posted? It basically shows like how they've been going along for the last 6 years.
Oh, this is on their website.
That's on their website,
Oh,
I think.
That's just like straight up Faraday Future's website.
It's like their legacy or whatever, and I just want to read this. 2018. Amid the thick fog of adversity, we remain steadfast on our path. 2019. Amid the lowest of lows, we thrived in desperate times. 2020. During the dark moments, the light of faith never faded away. We did
It's
nothing.
not a phase, Mom.
It's like we did nothing for 3+ years. Also,
that's-
funny enough,
we lost money for 3+ years.
Oh yeah,
basically
a lot of money,
we
and they're just
bled money. Yeah.
trying to convince investors that they have money or that they're actually going to make something. Also, funny enough, I think that Faraday Future event that you were just describing was my first CES event and my first CES, and I remember being there and being like, wow, this is really cool. This is really futuristic. I knew nothing about EVs. And I was like, well, I'm here for the birth of a new company.
Yeah.
And then, I
thought that was gonna be pretty sick.
situation.
There is a
Anyway.
27-inch screen in the back. Remember the 30-inch screen in the back of the BMW? So it's kind of like that.
There
Well,
we go.
it would be if it was real.
That's a fantastic
Just got
point.
this one little
I have a
problem.
75-inch screen in the back of my
Shipping
fake
someday,
car.
sometime soon.
Yep.
All right. What else so we wanted to talk about the Razr, right?
Yeah.
The Razr Plus, I think, is a more interesting one, but there's a Razr and a Razr Plus. By the time you see the podcast, the video's out. I got hands-on with the Razr Plus. I just think it finally feels like the beginning of like the second movement of us trying some new things. This could be totally wrong, and maybe it turns out to not be a real thing, but what they did with the Razr Plus was huge screen on the outside.
Love it.
Basically not the entire thing. It
Most
kinda
of
looks
it.
like
Very
It's like
close,
80%.
it's a good amount of the outside.
Around the cameras.
Around the cameras and everything. So the hinge is like obviously still hinged, but everything else, big screen. And you can do a lot on the outside screen.
What's the screen to front ratio?
I think it's like 80%.
Do they actually
looks
use
like
that
I think
term?
they might have
80%.
said.
Do they really use
It
that
basically
term?
looks like the whole front, except the very top
Yeah,
has a little bezel where I was assuming they're putting the digitizers and stuff.
Yeah, and the hinge and everything.
Yeah.
Yes. So you can do basically everything that you could normally do on a phone. There's the settings page where you can be like, I want this app to be able to use the outside screen. And then you click it and you open it up on the outside screen and it just squashes whatever app you picked into that little outside screen. Fine. There's also a whole keyboard. You can type entire messages and use the browser on the outside screen and do all these things. I think on a flip like this, you probably don't actually want to do all that much stuff on the outside screen. Like that's why you bought a flip, right? You wanted to have it be like a barrier, so you have to open it to use it and then close it. But this one it does literally there's games on the outside screen.
I mean,
I want a flipping phone as an adult fidget spinner and nothing else.
I
we've
wouldn't
had
do that
those.
with a folding screen. That sounds like a great way to open that thing way too many times.
Don't tell me what to do with my money.
You just do whatever you want.
I like this idea a lot. I think this is definitely a precursor to at least the leaks of the Galaxy Z Flip 5. It is supposed to look a lot like this.
Yep.
This has sort of been the dream for me since I guess we can call it the hamburger style flip phone started shipping.
Right.
Because the first Z Flip had just like that tiny little time bar and it basically was like not a display. But this one's amazing because I would actually like being able to manipulate notifications and actually reply to things really quickly and not just I think previous flip phones like this you had to use like pre typed out replies. You couldn't actually type your own reply or anything like that.
Almost like on your watch, like how
Yeah.
it's easier to just do like
Yeah.
And like the whole idea of that style flip phone for me is like a lot of the stuff that you're going to do on your phone is just a quick glanceable thing that you maybe need to interact with a little bit. And then you can open it up if you need to. And a lot of Android 13 and 14, the idea is that you're supposed to be able to do stuff on the smaller screens, but then when you unfold it, it contextually expands the information.
Yes.
And this feels like the first big step in doing that with this form factor. Like the Z Fold has
sure.
been doing that for a while.
Yeah, the
but-
big one, the hot dog ones.
Yeah, the hot dog.
I've been doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one literally you could have Google Maps open, close it, and follow the map directions on the outside
Yeah.
screen. Like all the stuff works.
I think it still does though. You said it feels like you can do too much on it. Therefore, like if you're buying a flip, you want to avoid that. I think it still does sort of do that while just letting you do things without having. It's almost the opposite of like you're not going to interact with that unless maybe like a text message comes up and then you can be like, oh, I can respond to this or I can quickly do this there, rather than oh, now I have to flip my phone open in order to respond to this. And therefore, once my phone's flipped open, I've
you're
opened Pandora's box, and now I'm 12 hours into a TikTok
I guess
session.
that's
or
the
something.
thing is you could get into a 12-hour TikTok session on the
On the
outside
front
screen.
I think it's still not quite right. So
yeah.
like you can do your things kind of quickly without having to opening up, and then you're still kind of not quite diving headfirst into it.
Sure,
You're just dipping your toes in the screen
I
time
can't get
pool in there.
fully immersed.
Is it called the Moto Razr 40 Ultra? Because that was the leaked specs.
It is not. It's just called the Razr Plus.
Okay.
So they also have a regular Razr that's a tiny little postage stamp outside screen with just the time or whatever. We don't have a price tag on it yet. We're all assuming this is going to be the first like truly affordable flipping
The smaller
folding
one,
phone.
or the cheaper one.
So it's going to be the same size. It's going to have 144 hertz inside screen, which by the way, the Plus has 165 hertz inside screen. They're going to have the same exact set of cameras. It actually gets a larger battery because the smaller screen means more room for battery.
There's a smaller outside screen on the.
Yeah,
Oh.
like a tiny little itty bitty
It's
outside
like the
screen.
old Razr one.
Yep.
Okay.
And it has a Snapdragon 7 Gen 1. So it's like a little bit of a bump down. I think it's a 128 gig starting storage instead of 256. And that phone, I'm assuming, is going to be, this is a total guess, $699 to $799.
That'd be epic.
Which would be pretty sweet for a
Yeah.
folding phone. We don't
Yeah.
really get folding phones underneath 1,000 too much. But the Razr Plus is the one that's going to be obviously competing with whatever Samsung puts out. Flip 5. I'm fascinated by it.
I think the big question is going to be battery life for the phone, because didn't they have to make the battery smaller to be able to do the
Yeah.
larger screen on the front?
So it's a 3800 now.
Yeah. And then it's also a pretty tall display, like 21 by 9 or something.
Yep,
3800
22
milliamp
by
hour.
9.
22 by. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
But Motorola is like one of the few US companies that is actually doing like true fast charging. Like, what is the charging speed on this?
This is 30 watts. But I'll also
it's only
mention
30?
something.
Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
The Razr third gen
fast.
Razr had a notoriously disappointing battery life.
Yeah.
That was it was a thinner phone and it had a 2800 milliamp hour battery.
Okay.
So this one bumps all the way up to 3800. It obviously gets a much larger outside screen, but maybe battery life won't suck as much.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Can I also just, for audio listeners, I realize we didn't say this previously, but like when we talk about full front screen, I mean like wraps around the cameras. Like the
Yeah.
cameras are included
It's so
inside of the screen.
Like a
It's
hole
like,
punch.
I
Yeah.
feel like it really is basically the entire front of it. And it's
Yeah.
really cool seeing like wrapping around the cameras.
If you watch our video on it, there's like a game they have pre-installed on the phone where you kind of like move these balls around with the gyroscope and they fall into the cameras. And
Yeah.
those are the
Yeah.
little holes that you want to fall into. It's
Smart.
just gimmicky, but yeah, it's really fun.
It's like the Zelda like shrines that you go
Yeah.
in, like where you had to use your Switch to
Right.
like balance it.
Yeah.
Pure gimmick, fun tech demo, hilarious use of the space.
I will also just say when Lenovo bought Motorola Mobility, I was extremely nervous because Lenovo is just kind of one of those companies that makes a lot of random prototypey stuff, but either doesn't ship it or makes it really badly. But they've actually been trying a lot of really weird, fun stuff recently, especially around the display segment with that like dual screen laptop.
Oh yeah, they did the tall.
Yeah, the double screened laptop with
Yeah.
the keyboard thing. And then there's this, like, nobody else is really pushing the boundaries of like the hamburger style foldable right now, except for basically Samsung. But because Samsung didn't have very much competition, it's been, those phones have looked the same for the last like 3 years.
Yeah, they kind of chilled.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
good to see somebody else pushing into that space. And I would love to have a return of Motorola in the US. I
Yeah.
think that'd be awesome. But except beyond the really cheap budget segment.
They dominate prepaid,
Yeah.
but this
They
is like
really
a real
do.
$1,000 phone.
You guys want a blast from the past? I have all this information in front of me because of an unrelated trivia search. But when you guys are talking about Razr battery life, the Razr V3, do you want to guess how many milliamp hours that thing had?
Was that
800.
that was like still
That's the
like,
original.
800.
The flipping phone that blew up that sold like millions.
I think that might have been the V2. This might have been the one after it.
The milliamp hour size.
Yeah. So we're talking about like modern ones upgrading from like 28 to like 3000. Is that what you said?
2800 to 3800.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that had a 480 milliamp hour battery.
this is still like
This is
dumb phone like
Yeah, flip
not
yeah,
smart,
yeah.
like 10 plus years ago. I think I was in high school when that came out.
My only
Q3
context,
2004.
Yeah, I'm guessing
Nice.
like 260.
Yeah. Also, this is exhibition round. No trivia
And
points
no-
are being awarded.
I was
Unless
in
I'm
fourth grade.
It's 680 milliamp hours.
Nice.
So we've really come a
Sick.
long way.
We
3,200 milliamp hours.
And it lasted for 2 weeks. The irony of it all.
It's incredible. I mean, it had a pretty small inside screen, so I guess that's not crazy. Yeah. My context was I remember the Motorola Droid had a 1,400 milliamp hour battery.
Damn.
Thank you to GSM Arena for keeping this page up so I can
Yeah.
just look at
Oh,
these
they
numbers.
have
That was odd. I
everything.
didn't know they had that far.
They have
Wow.
everything.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
The mod days go back real far. Yeah.
Times Razr V3.
All right.
What is this AI geolocating camera? Can someone explain this?
Yes.
What is this?
Okay. A lot of people were tweeting this saying
clicking
this
it.
is this like a lot of people are tweeting this saying this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen.
But David's been waiting all week to talk about it.
yeah,
I think I sent it to you.
you did.
Okay.
Yeah. You tagged me in Slack.
You were much more enthusiastic about it than I expected.
Okay. It's not a product that anyone would ever use. It's basically a toy.
Yeah.
So the idea is it looks like a camera. You carry it around with you and it has a GPS in it.
Well, it's
right?
also when we say looks like a camera, so like camera body.
Yeah.
But then rather than a lens, it's like
it's
like
I think that's an
hand.
antenna.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
multiple antennas, similar to like a Vive controller, where they
Yeah.
use that for like position tracking. So yeah, sorry, I want it like, but it's pink and it's like coming out of the front of a camera. It looks insane.
Yeah. So it has basically a thing on the back that is effectively Mad Libs, right? Do you know Mad Libs?
Yeah, you just fill in
You fill in blanks.
adjective,
So it says
verb, noun.
I'm at this geolocation. The weather is this, and there is like some grass beyond me or something like that. And then basically there's a screen on the back that has a prompt for an AI image generator. And because it has all of this information from like Google Maps and like all of this like image data for what that place generally looks like, and then also you're explaining the conditions of what the place is now.
Well, I think it's using GPS and the internet to understand the weather conditions as well. Like I think that's part of.
So what are you putting in?
I think
You just hit the shutter button.
So I think because you said this is basically linked to a website, correct? That's like a prompt.
You
and it
can,
would
yeah, you can
create-
go on this guy. So his website is currently down because too many people are looking at it. But you just put in a little bit of information, like the Mad Libs information. Like you say, it's midday. I'm here. It's partly cloudy. What are the knobs? do?
I think what this actually is because of the GPS and the things is when you click that shutter button, it's auto filling in the ad libs because it can tell through the antennas like,
Yeah.
I am in this coordinate, I'm facing this way, it is this time,
Oh,
this
I
is what the
see.
weather for this area
Okay.
is.
And so then the knobs basically just change like how far away from it
Yeah,
you
it says
are.
meters. I don't know what seed means.
Seed is like when you're clicking it, it's generating images, but seed 1 would be like the first batch that it generated.
Okay.
Wait.
Seed 2 would be a separate batch.
Oh, I thought seed was the seed they use for the noise that when they diffuse the information through it.
I don't think so.
No?
Because only
Okay.
one seed would be like really noisy.
No, like you know how you have different seeds to create different noises?
Yeah.
Like you use that seed to create the initial noise map that you then diffuse through.
That may be true. Regardless.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's like a camera that looks like it has a crab strapped to the front. And
That's actually very accurate.
it's making all of these images, and there's examples on Twitter. We'll link this in the show notes. The images that it generates are much prettier than the actual places that this guy is taking photos
Oh
of.
my god.
Everyone on the internet is like, this is so stupid. What is society becoming? And it's like, guys, nobody is taking this seriously. It's
Yeah.
an experimental, fun thing.
For sure.
Like, just let it be fun.
I
Guys.
see this way more as like this is using generative AI, like creating photos, but like he created this cool thing to basically auto plug in the prompt of it
Yeah,
to be like
yeah.
in an area. And then,
That's so
it's
funny.
kind of like I have a camera. So, but it is cool because it automatically plugs the prompt in, you take the picture and then it generates on this like weird little 3D camera thing he printed. And like he looks at it and looks at the thing in front of him and it's right.
Some of them are
decently close.
Yeah.
Some of them are decently close. Yeah, it's usually just like a much prettier version of the thing he's currently standing in
Yeah,
front of.
exactly. Because it doesn't have like a million people and
Yeah.
like everything's like looks nice and
But
looks
isn't that
edited
what
already.
you want a camera for?
Again,
Yeah, but it's
this
not
is
trying
fun.
to be
This
an
is for
actual
fun.
camera.
Yeah.
It's just a
Yeah.
what can we do with the current technology that just got invented a year ago.
It's just hilarious to put it in the body of a camera with a shutter button.
I think it's amazing.
I was just gonna say
So
that. I think
fun.
if it didn't have like the camera body around it,
Yeah.
it would be a cool thing. But because it's a camera, everyone's freaking out.
I think that's what makes it fun. Like he tried something different.
I'm with you guys. I think we're so used to engineers and technologists inventing a thing and then being like, I'm going to shove this down everyone's throats until everyone's using it. That now it's like when someone invents something, we're like, get that away from my throat. You know,
It's literally,
but it's like
it's a toy.
It's a little fun
It's a toy.
It's like
Yeah.
an art. It's almost like an art, like an art exhibit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
a modern art. Like
That's
I could see this in the MoMA just being like permanently strapped to the wall, and then there's like a display in front of it that displays different places, and then it shows the thing, and then it just generates.
and in that art, like the AI is part of it. Like it's not replacing normal photography and
No.
stuff like this. Like this entire thing is a project within itself, and therefore, like
Yeah.
it's fun.
It's like a benevolent Michael Reeves video.
Kind of, yeah. No, yeah. If you made a video on like making this, it would blow up on the
It would be
internet,
really cool.
for sure.
They should.
I
If
really
they haven't
want
already.
to. I would love to get one of these. And it, by the time you listen to this, hopefully the guy's website will be back up. It got hugged to death, and it's been down for over a day.
I just retweeted it, so it's probably.
It's already.
Later.
I mean, it's
Sorry.
down for sure.
Yeah, sorry about that.
But the cool thing is on his website, you don't actually need the device. You can put in the parameters yourself, and it'll generate images for you.
That's great.
So you can kind of play with it. Hopefully that's back up. To Bjorn Carmen, I'm sorry that everything is falling apart for you right now, but
Bjorn, can I have one?
your invention is very cool.
Bjorn.
I would love one if you listen to this podcast.
Bjorn, listen to me. Listen to me.
We'll make a studio
I'll
video
give you
on it.
the studio's GPS coordinates, and then you just put one in the mail, and we'll make a video about it.
Yeah. So anyway,
Everything it's autofilling in, I think, can be figured out just by the positioning of the camera when the shutter
Yeah.
buttons hit.
Yeah.
So that's really cool.
I think the reason there's discourse around it is because there's a lot of really disruptive discourse around AI imaging and AI art right now, and everyone's used to being angry.
And also,
And somebody is making something around it that is doing the same thing, but with the intention of not being serious, and people don't really know how to react to that.
As I'm scrolling through, just his tweet says, "Thank you all for the amazing feedback. There are a lot of questions, so I'll clarify this is a passion art project, no intention of making a product or challenging photography, rather a question of the role of AI in time of creative tension."
Nobody assumes that people are gonna like take photos with this and pass it off as their real art.
But that's
real
like what
photography.
that's what like people are probably getting
Yeah,
upset
there are
about.
probably some people that will say that.
I bet it's the same people that
I
say
think it's
they're
awesome.
making a photograph.
Yeah.
that's what I was gonna say.
God.
What the
What is
other
a-
half of this is like, remember we just had I/O, and it's like you took a photo, and then it's
Yeah.
like, this photo is nice, but how about if it was a different photo?
Yeah.
And the sky was brighter, and the bag was gone, and she was 2 meters over, so she had the waterfall in her hands.
You're
It's
kind
not
of
really.
making-
You didn't really make that photo.
If this
but
gets
we'll let
pushed
you have
into
it.
like the Google camera app, then we start worrying.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Google
right
could
now,
easily
we're
make this experiment.
they could
But-
way too easily.
You
Yeah.
go somewhere, your camera's broken, but your phone's just kind of like, yeah, but I know what the Niagara Falls waterfall looks like. And you just kind of give them a photo of the waterfall.
Right.
And that's it.
It's a fun art project. I just thought it was cute. It
was really cool.
And I
It was
thank
really
you for
cool.
showing that to me because it's very
Yeah.
cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. We should take a quick break. We'll do some trivia and come back. We got a lot more to talk about. But first, questions.
Trivia. So, yes,
Was it
dude.
pink last
Thank
time?
you.
Was it that loud last time, or are my headphones?
No,
just
we raised it
buzzing?
up just to mess with you.
Nice.
Okay. In 2005, Motorola launched the Razr V3i, adopting the I to signal a collaboration with Apple. What Apple software did the phone have built in?
Yeah, I remember that.
I don't.
Dang.
Final Cut Pro. Don't give them ideas.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about next week a little bit. Just briefly, we can sort of speculate about WWDC. We're in the midst of, well, we're about to be in the midst of one of the bigger WWDCs in a while. For those who are somehow watching this podcast but don't already know, WWDC is the Worldwide Developer Conference. It is Apple's annual developer conference, but they also typically have a keynote for the world where they go over all of the new stuff for developers. Now, what's important for developers? Well, new software and new operating systems. So we'll get new iOS, new watchOS, new iPadOS, new macOS. And if there happens to be any new platform that starts up, we should, of course, make a new name for that new OS and get developers in to make stuff for that too. That's what WWDC is. Usually we get some cool stuff in the software department. Not too much hardware occasionally. I think the Mac Pro was originally announced at WWDC. They said it's coming later in the year. But, this is a good developing tool, a good machine for developers. So it was cool that it showed up there. But it's not like we're getting a new iPhone or anything.
Yeah.
Should be pretty quiet, right?
They announced M1 as a concept at WWDC.
Yeah, they said we're going to do Apple Silicon. And there's a developer kit where we basically took an Intel Mac Mini and put an Apple, like an A15 in there. So if you guys want to develop for that platform, this is a good time to start. So anytime you get new stuff, WWDC, that's where you see the new stuff. This time, we are expecting a lot of new stuff.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard about the rumors. I think the big one sort of looming on the horizon is
Swift. The updates to the Swift directories. Let's go, baby!
That's probably going to be in there.
Every
But
single year.
No, we're all like sort of waiting for Apple's headset. Is it a VR headset? Is it an AR headset? What is it going to be called? What is the OS going to be called? Isn't the latest rumor like Reality OS and like Reality Pro?
I thought it was XROS.
XROS is a new one. Okay,
XROS.
we keep getting
But
new
Reality Pro
hints.
is apparently the name of the headset.
I think that's a crazy.
What
name.
is it? I missed that.
Reality Pro.
Reality Pro.
But that's also like if it's called Reality Pro, that leaves room for like a lower end reality.
Yeah.
That's just reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. No, there's going to have to be, if you're going to ship a headset later, Apple, you need to get developers to make software and things for said headset. So WWDC is the place to introduce that concept to the world. That's the sort of headlining thing we're expecting to happen.
Headlining.
Headlining. That's a pun.
Thanks.
I hate myself.
I
for
hope
that
if
one.
they don't use that, I'll walk off. We just all get up and leave.
Just peace out.
Should have said headliner.
Yeah, we got some expected potential things. Like we have other AR headsets that do interesting things. This one, maybe iris scanning, maybe facial recognition sensors,
I think
maybe.
the easiest way to say this is it just sounds like the MetaQuest Pro, but Apple. Like think of everything the MetaQuest Pro does, and
Pretty much.
that's basically what they're saying.
It's got a Apple Silicon chip inside.
But the thing that the MetaQuest Pro does not have is an app ecosystem. And something that Apple is going to be doing at WWDC, theoretically, is they're going to be shipping and giving developers a really, really easy way to translate iPadOS and iOS apps to Reality OS or XROS or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
So basically, like, they're probably not going to ship it right away, right? Like, they announced M1 there, and then they shipped it in November. So there's this huge like lead time.
Right.
They're probably going to ship developers these devices, and then they're going to give them like a translator to be able to re-export their apps in Reality OS or XROS format, manipulate a little bit to make it easier to use, and then all of a sudden, when you actually buy one of these headsets, you have all the apps that you already use, but then you can just use them in XR, which is very cool.
Which is sweet.
For sure.
Very interested.
That's the Apple advantage, right? They're a giant company with an incredibly vibrant, massive developer community. They have the biggest app store in the world. Like if any company can get these headsets to be a real mainstream thing, seems like it's Apple.
Yeah.
So that's why everyone's sort of waiting to see what they do. Is it rushed? Is it finished? Is it the true Apple way? We're about to find out.
There's one rumor here I want to see what you guys think, and it like seems very minor, but I feel like I think people might think differently of it. External battery pack connected with a wire. To me, that just does not seem like a polished Apple thing.
They want it to be as light as possible because having heavy headsets on for long periods of time is really tiring.
Well, there's the reasoning they'll say on stage for sure. It just still does not feel Apple
it's
one
really
product.
But they can
kind
make
of.
the iPod commercial again with the dancing people with the wire coming down. It'll be that, but to the back.
Wires are back, Andrew.
Wires are back,
back,
baby.
It's cool now to have a wire. It's going to be a bright white cable too. So
gonna be
everybody-
light.
you're on
It's
the
light.
train. Everybody sees that wire. They're
It's
like,
double
like,
lightning.
yeah,
Also,
yeah.
both
It's not the
sides.
fact that you're wearing a headset that they know that you have the newest thing.
they missed that, but the wire,
The wire.
that guy's got it.
Down to the wire.
Yeah. What do we think? Are they going to ship something like immediately, or is this going to be like announce
November.
a developer kit headset and nobody gets to buy this one?
I think they're going to sell it for a very high price.
Yeah.
I think the last rumor was basically like next year or the year after will be the non-pro like consumer version that's a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter.
Reality.
But this version is definitely like they're going to make it past the point where anyone can afford it, just because it's mostly going to be like this is the first round where we build out the ecosystem and get people learning how to use it. And then when the consumer version drops, it'll compete with like it'll be probably still more expensive than the Quest Pro and that kind of stuff, but it'll be more reachable.
Do you guys remember Magic Leap? That like AR
Yeah.
headset that sold as like it was like Magic Leap developer option. I forget if it actually did fully come out as like the consumer version, but like that's what I'm thinking of in this, which also makes me wonder: is this going to be sold in stores? I think Magic Leap was sold in like Verizon stores for a little bit.
Did they ever sell that?
It was
didn't think they
it
ever
was like the
shipped it.
developer version of it, which is still weird. Which I feel like that's what this is going to feel like. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see it in an Apple store with an insane price tag, and non-developers are going to buy it anyways, understanding like
Interesting.
I'm paying a ton of money for something that's
Yeah.
probably not fully worth that yet.
You can buy the Magic Leap 2, but you need to buy it for commercial purposes in commercial quantities and have a team
Oh.
of developers who are going to develop for your internal use of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
there's-
believe
I think the first one, because I thought
You were
I think
able to buy the
Verizon
one.
got us
Yeah.
the first one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Weird.
but this is more
That's
like
very strange.
Audi just bought a big thing of Magic Leap 2s to develop HUDs.
Makes total sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's curious. This is going to be the first, the first big new AR VR headset in a while.
What if all of WWC was in VR? What if it was in the metaverse?
Not again.
What if we went there and then
Not
they
again.
gave us a headset?
Oh, no.
Sorry,
again.
that was derailing.
I would not enjoy that at all.
Yeah.
But you know, they got some other OSs too, so they'll probably have some new iOS stuff. It seems like iOS 17 isn't going to be like some massive jump. They did a lot with like the lock screen of iOS 16. That was the headlining feature. We got like widgets, I believe was iOS like 14 or 15. This one, not too much headlining crazy stuff happening, or at least that's not expected. But
Yeah.
it's the new iOS, so it'll be focused on for sure.
Mark Gurman called it a tune-up release, so it feels like
Sure.
fixing up all the iOS 16 stuff to make it better.
Literally, the biggest thing I've seen is you'll be able to turn your iPhone into a smart display, which is like I don't even know if I want to do that.
They're also going to be releasing that your own voice that you can type in words and it'll speak for you.
That was literally just like a small nugget of an accessibility feature
Yeah.
that most people will probably never use. But if you literally have like,
I'm
if
gonna
you
use
have like a disability with your voice, or you have like trouble speaking, you can have it. You can go through a session where you say a bunch of words and it synthesizes your voice, and then you can use that as sort of like a DJ board to have it say things for you, which is amazing.
Yeah, I know.
And I want to try it, even though I don't actually need it, just because
Whole
it seems kinda sick.
podcast.
Synthesize.
So just write all of it.
Because like the headline is easy. It's an AI. Apple made a way for you to AI synthesize your own voice. I was like,
Yeah.
they did what?
Yeah.
That seems super cool.
You hook that up to a GPT and then people can just talk to you on the phone and you don't even have to be on the
You
phone.
never even have to wake up.
Yeah, it can take meetings. Never have to wake up.
Why would I at this point?
Dark. yeah. So iOS 17 tweak, tune-up update, cool. iPad OS might be along the same lines. There's also some new watchOS stuff expected. This one could be a little bit bigger, just because we know we have Apple Watch Ultra now. That's out. We could get some new widget stuff, some new digital crown functionality. There's some rumors floating around again from Mark Gurman that I've read into, which seem pretty cool. tvOS, Mac OS.
Hold on, you missed the biggest thing I think potentially for Watch, which is a new more intuitive layout for Watch apps and like just the Watch in general.
That could be.
They're thinking like total redesign of your home screen on your Apple Watch.
Oh, wait, the home screen meaning this cluster? over
Yeah,
here?
I believe so.
That has been pretty much the same since the beginning.
Since
Yeah.
the original Apple Watch. You can switch it to a list view,
Yeah.
which is a list. It's not
Something.
I
bad.
don't know. Potential Apple Home Watch screen update with more intuitive layout is what
Okay.
Mark Gurman said.
Potential. Okay. I'm interested. tvOS does TV things, you know?
Yep.
That's cool. And then Mac OS, which we might see some new Macs.
Yeah, I think that the 15-inch MacBook Air is supposed to launch here.
Isn't there a couple Macs? There's the big Air, 15-inch MacBook Air.
Yeah.
There's also
The big Air?
M3 stuff possibly already. Maybe.
Because the iMac still hasn't been updated, and the M3 is supposed to be the first update for the iMac.
Wait, we never got an M2 iMac,
No.
right? So we have an M1 iMac now. We're just going to skip to M3
Yes.
iMac?
Yeah, that's the rumor,
Okay.
which I think makes sense, personally.
I mean, iMac people didn't really need the M2 update, but it's still
Exactly.
kind of weird to skip it. But
Yeah, it's weird to skip it.
Yeah,
but
they could have just
but
started
whatever.
putting it in. Yeah, I don't know.
And then, we always get like an M3 Mac Mini, M3 iPad, M3 based stuff.
Mac Mini 13-inch Pro with Touch Bar. Can't wait.
Please
Kill
don't.
me.
Gonna kill it.
Keep the touch bar away from me. Also, my reservation, we were talking about Mac Pro and how I've sort of adjusted my take on Mac Pro on this podcast in real time in front of you guys. I've settled on, if there is no Mac Pro at this WWDC, it's never coming out. If there is no Apple Silicon Mac Pro update next week at WWDC, Apple will forget, they will pretend it never existed and that they never even mentioned it
Air
would happen.
power it.
Marquez, we've accepted this.
I am just now accepting it. Well, I know you guys weren't looking forward to the Mac Pro at all.
Time coming.
But
We accept it.
I was in like Tesla Roadster land where I was like, maybe someday, possibly. Come on, you didn't forget, did you?
Do you think it comes out next week?
I think it either. I don't really.
If you had
know
to
I
bet
have to-
on it's gone for it'll never happen or it's out next week,
it's
what would
really
you
one
bet?
or the other. I would bet if I had to put money down. God, I think it's gone.
I think it's gone.
I think
It's gone, baby.
I personally think it's gone.
It is
They
air
haven't
power.
done. Yeah, I was gonna say like
Marquez
they
will
haven't.
run down the aisle if it gets announced.
They haven't like announced and then just quietly swept under the rug something since AirPower, and I think now's the time. I think you need to. Okay, Marquez, we're in the acceptance phase, right? First is
Denial.
denial.
That was me.
Second is anger. That's kind of right now.
I've been there. Yeah, been there.
Third, you're just about to seep into acceptance. As soon as Monday happens,
Third is bargaining.
bargaining. On Monday, you're just gonna go talk
Tim.
to Tim.
Tim, come
Just
on, man.
marches right into infinite loop and
Just
just,
make one.
like walks around
Just
the
make one.
opposite.
Just make one for me. Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's dead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
Because otherwise, like the Mac Studio is already an awkward device considering it had the M1 Ultra was just a weird chip because the M2 Max is almost as powerful by like only undercutting it by like 5%.
Yeah, and so we don't have an M2 Ultra yet.
No.
So it's just kind of like, yeah,
What
it's
is
kind of
this
awkward
for?
right now.
Yeah.
It is weird.
Yeah. So
I still want it though. That's the thing. like if you ask me what I think would happen, I have one answer. But if you ask me what I want to happen, I want Tim Cook to walk up there and be like, Marquez, bro, we finally did it. We know you wanted a Mac Pro, and I know most other people weren't going to buy this, but we're going to Faraday Future this and just make a couple of them,
Yeah.
and you can get a Mac
I hope
Pro.
they like hybrid it. Like they admit that it's not coming, but they also like publicly admit that. So Tim Cook walks up, Mac Pro, and it says it on the screen, and he goes, "Unfortunately, we will not be doing."
That's the least likely outcome.
No way in hell.
Apple would.
I would
never.
just if we didn't have live reaction of Marquez's face as that happened.
Remember the that scene where Craig Federighi was like, "We keep getting asked this question: Are we going to combine iOS and Mac OS?" And then there was just a huge slide. It was just like, "No." I picture the same thing with the Mac Pro, where Craig Federighi goes like,
Never
"We
mind.
keep getting asked about this Mac Pro. Are we actually going to do it?"
no.
No. And then I just weep. I'm like that meme with the smiling face, but pissed
Crying.
off behind it. Yeah,
The
that's
way that
me.
you said I still want it though is like when my mom is like planning on taking me to Disneyland and then at some point she's like, David, I'm sorry, honey, but like our finances don't work this year. And then I just go, but mom, I still want it though.
It's I am definitely in bargaining, but I will probably have to be in acceptance pretty soon.
We're getting there.
Yeah,
What do you want out of the Mac Pro?
fair question.
like do you want
It's a good question.
Doesn't
better
matter.
do you want the modularity? Do you want better thermals? Do you want
Yes.
It's hard though. Like,
So-
what is modularity with the new chips? Really?
Right, the chips aren't modular, but the GPU part is, and I still think that there's a kind of like in Logic, there are lots of plugins that just make it work. in creator world, there are still some GPU heavy tasks and even some custom GPUs that just make things work. I remember back in the day, Red had a GPU that they would sell to people, and it was like the most weird just collection of CUDA cores on a chip, and no one who didn't need it would ever buy it for gaming. But if you edited Red footage, my God, was that thing a lifesaver.
Yeah.
What was the name of that again?
It was
Red Rocket. It was called the Red Rocket. So let's not talk about that anymore. It was a terrible name. But that world's still real. I think there are still people who would like to stack two 4090s and throw it in a Mac and do crazy things with it, right? It's got to be a little bit. But also, yes, thermally. I mean, I at this point, I only really tax the Mac Studio at the very highest end of the heaviest edit, where I'm stacking text effects and all kinds of things on my timeline. And at the highest end, I can get it to start to chug and even crash on me. Sorry, Final Cut team, it's true, it happens. So if I could just sort of have the extra headroom of an M2 Ultra or Max or Extreme or whatever and avoid that, it would be the Dream Machine. And I would pay extra for the Dream Machine to have the headroom and never worry about it again.
You're still definitely in the bargaining phase.
I am.
Yeah.
I'm like looking down the barrel. I'm like, I would give you money. I would give you dollars.
Yeah. There were people
Yeah.
talking about a potential M1 Extreme as well, which would now be
Yeah.
M3 Extreme, where it's like the M1 Ultra was 2 M1 Maxes fused together. This would be like 4 to 8 fused together, because
How
you
do
have
you not want that?
right, because like before you had to cool it, right?
And
That's
then
why
two
the
4090s.
and then 240. That's why the Mac Studio was so thick.
Yeah,
and
thermal.
it was like 2.5 Mac Mini stacked on top of each other. This, if it was in a similar chassis to the Mac Pro,
You could do-
You literally just
It's God mode.
yeah.
You can do
It's
anything.
like, I
Yeah.
am in open air.
Yeah, I love that.
Inside the cheese grater.
That's why I'm thinking, like, we talked about this already, but the old Darth Vader trash can Mac Pro
Yeah.
was ahead of its time, because
Yeah.
today, in that much space, they could do thermally great things with Apple
Right.
Silicon, where they had that old Intel chip in there and it was like,
It was bad.
guys, one fan, really? You thought that would work?
We're heating up.
So, yeah, that's my
Bargaining.
bring back the trash can. I'm just saying, don't bring the trash can back, but you can do a Mac Pro. Apple, you can do it.
They won't.
Please do.
I hope for your sanity, Marquez, that
Yeah.
they don't end Dub with Mac Pro in a trash can again.
Did they ever show the chassis
We
for
would-
it? They didn't, right? They just said we're
For
working
what?
on it.
Yeah, they
new
just. So I
Mac
was
Pro.
hanging on to the words at the end. We can move on from this, but I was hanging on to the words
I don't
at
know
the
if you
end
can.
of one of their keynotes.
And he said, and next we're moving to Mac Pro. And then they left the lab.
No, they said we've finished the Apple Silicon update, because remember they made this like 2-year
Yeah,
promise.
yeah.
And they were like, and with that, we've finished the Apple Silicon update except for one more thing, the Mac Pro. And they said it out loud. They
Yeah,
named it.
no, I remember.
And I was like, oh, so they're still doing a Mac Pro. Great. And that's the last time they ever even said those words in any Apple literature or presentation. That's the last time it ever appeared. So I've had that like clip echoing in the back of my head, like, you said what that one time? So
If we
anyway,
ever need content for this podcast, I just have to say Mac Pro, and Marquez has 20 minutes of content
It's-
for us.
it's
sorry to
after
do this
week-
to you. I personally feel bad sometimes.
After this week, we will know.
Okay.
It's either never coming out
Yeah.
or it's happening.
Yeah, that's true. After Monday.
Like if we go through all of Dub and we don't hear any Mac Pro mentioned, I'm dropping it. It's not It's not coming out.
that's the acceptance phase.
Yeah, that's the acceptance phase.
All right.
All right. We'll accept a trivia question.
Since the 1960s, the Santa Clara Valley has been known as the Silicon Valley. Prior to that nickname, it was known as A, the Golden Valley, named after the Golden State, B, the Lally Valley, named after the village in France's Isère region, Lally, C, the Valley of Heart's Delight for its high concentration of orchards and flowering trees, or D, Arroyo Diablo, Arroyo being the Spanish word for a flood basin, and Diablo coming from the Diablo Mountains immediately north of Santa Clara.
Dang.
Wait, don't they have to name the next Mac OS? Remember every
Yeah, they have to name
WWDC, they're like, our crack team of developers has come up with a new name for
Right.
Mac OS.
And they haven't gotten through all the famous places in California.
I think it's
yet.
going to be
Yeah.
Arroyo Diablo. That sounds like a new Mac OS.
But that was the past.
True. if it's the right
It would be
answer.
a good throwback if it's
It'd
true,
be
or
pretty
maybe
sick.
I made that up.
It just sounds like a good name. If it's not the name of if it's not the trivia question answer, I kind of hope it's the next version of Mac OS.
I think they should, and I'm from California, so I can speak like this. I think they should pick one of the bad places in California, like Mac OS Barstow.
Folsom.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. They
Probably.
started off with like national parks and like
Yeah.
very memorable places, and
Yeah.
then I think it just kind of
Alcatraz.
then it was like
You're trapped in our ecosystem.
Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
that would actually be really
That'd
fitting.
be sick.
Okay, macOS Alcatraz. That's definitely what they're going to name it.
I hope so.
We'll be right back after the break. All right, welcome back. This is the last part of a pod, and it is just questions and answers. I am told that we have some questions from you guys on Twitter. Is it just Twitter, I think? We polled
Just
on
Twitter.
Twitter. Yeah, okay. So we asked you guys what you wanted to know on Twitter. Fun little pre-WWDC Q&A sesh. Probably questions for any/all of us. So I haven't seen any of the questions yet. I will just answer them as we go. We can just get into it.
All right.
Yeah.
First question from It's Gillies 675 on Twitter. What do you guys actually do during the ad breaks?
We cough.
That's actually...
I mean, I feel like there's small, like, I always, like, crack open my water bottle and take a drink. We kind of check on what the time is, but other than that, we usually talk
Just
about
keep
something and just
going.
waste a lot of time.
I just read ads.
Yeah. I've had a lot of people ask if we actually take a break. It seems a very hot topic.
Do they think it's like a several minute break or something?
Well, because it's like, we'll be right back after the break. And it's like, it's a break for you guys, but it's not a break for us because
Yeah.
we never stop working.
Yeah, if you zoomed out, you would hear us literally go, "We'll be right back after the break." All right, we're back.
Yeah.
It's like immediately right back into the pod.
The break
yeah.
was 4
There's been
microseconds.
we had like a 30-minute conversation about Central Jersey one time.
True.
Fortunately, I was not
Debate.
here for that. Thank God.
It's like sometimes just some dumb conversations, but most of it is usually, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes what will happen is like I will be in the peripherals sort of scrolling Twitter for brand new in the moment information just in case it relates to like what we're talking about right now. And occasionally I'll be like, this happened 30 seconds ago.
Oh my
Breaking news.
Faraday Future shipped a car.
Breaking news. Yeah. Like the fish from SpongeBob.
Breaking news.
So
There's
yeah,
a really, yeah.
not much.
That's
not
the
too
answer
much.
to that one.
While you're enjoying your ads, we're already working again.
Enjoying your ads. I hope you are.
Hey, this question was asked by @IamHammond on Twitter.
Hello, Hammond.
His first name's actually Daniel.
I definitely recognize that name.
Take it back.
Okay.
What is one of the biggest features you wish the studio had that it doesn't currently?
Features.
Features.
Well, I can speak more car chargers.
Yep.
yeah, I think I don't even own an EV, and I wish there was more.
I don't even own a V.
That's, wow.
Parking.
You lost it.
Chargers. Fast internet.
A studio scream stream.
Internet. Yeah, David and I have been talking about a scream room
Yeah.
for whenever we're
Something's about to send a tweet, and instead of getting the anger out by sending the tweet, we just go into the studio scream room and scream.
Yeah.
Or
Or
like
like somebody typing too fast and you like unplug the keyboard and you're like, no. Stop. Take this out some other
yell
way.
it out.
Yeah.
They go into the scream room.
Yeah. And if we hooked up a Twitch stream to it, it could be the studio scream stream.
It'd be like the Namibia cam.
The what?
The what?
The who?
All right, now I got to explain it. All right, so my little brother, shout out Mason, plays a lot of Gary's Mod on
Nice.
like online Gary's Mod.
That game is
servers.
still popular.
It is, yeah.
I
And
love that game.
one year I was visiting him and he was playing Gary's Mod on a server that I think he's like a moderator in. He's like really in the server a lot. And on his second monitor was a live stream of a watering hole in Namibia.
I love those random live streams.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
But it was a thing where everyone on the server had this same stream up. And so like some random animal would like walk and like start sipping, and you'd hear the whole voice chat be like, "Bro, Gazelle, there's like everyone look at Namibia stream, the Namibia cam," and then like the whole thing would just like explode, like, "Bro!"
That's so wholesome.
Kids are incredible.
I love
That would be us in the scream room.
Yeah.
There's somebody in there.
Dave was about to tweet again. He's screaming.
All right, next question from @CookieDarkChoco, which is a
Nice.
great name.
Tasty.
For Andrew, fave Taylor Swift album.
1989.
Wait, you didn't want to ask me?
For Marquez, favorite Taylor Swift album that isn't 1989.
1979.
I'm trying to think. If I know another one.
She wasn't born then.
Damn.
Red. Is that one?
Yeah. No, give him the buzz because he didn't say Taylor's version.
Oh.
My bad.
Come on.
So he was
bad.
right,
Also-
but he was not ethical about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Also, I did not get tickets, but I might try and go to Pittsburgh in like 2 weeks and get tickets there.
Holy,
Not
you're gonna-
kidding.
Oh no.
Well, if I can get them within 24 hours, I can make it there in 6.
How far would you go?
to Pittsburgh?
No, to like
6.
how far would you go to see Taylor?
I think the
45
only
miles.
concerts left are like Michigan, Chicago. Like I'm not gonna fly. Like I can make it to. The only tickets you can get now, which I know because I tried all weekend to get them for MetLife, is like Ticketmaster just randomly drops like a couple of them here and there, and I was like glued to this Twitter account that was posting updates and like refreshing all weekend.
Let's go.
So if I can get it within 24 hours or even 48 hours, I could make it to Pittsburgh in time.
That's the true
And I will
utility
do
of
it.
Twitter.
And we already have friends who said they're down for this trip as well.
You said
we can
Pittsburgh?
get
Okay.
Yeah. So Pittsburgh. Fingers crossed.
Good to know.
Michigan's not too easy or not too hard to drive to either.
I feel like that's more than
I think
Michigan
that's a
is
good line
13
to draw.
hours.
that's got to be like over 10 hours.
Michigan's
right?
13 hours
Yeah.
to get to Lansing.
That's a rough drive.
To get to Lansing.
Yeah.
But
Oh.
Taylor Swift's not going to Lansing. sorry, Lansing, Michigan.
Detroit is only an hour from Lansing, though.
Detroit, we don't need to talk about this right now. I've done the drive
Also
a bunch of times
Pittsburgh.
from Detroit.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
This next question is from Nicholas Bear at NickBear01. We have standard folding, flipping, and rolling phones, either in production or development. What would be a form factor you would like to see that has not been tried yet?
The wing, like sidekick version
That
of
was
like opening
crazy.
up something
tried
else.
it.
Like maybe that's the
LG
best way
wing,
because then the
baby.
screen doesn't have to conform differently. But like,
Yo, my LG Wing video on Android Authority did so many views.
dude, it
People
went
love
off. It was
that phone.
our most viewed TikTok still.
And as
like-
we know, YouTube views translates directly to success.
Exactly.
companies.
Yeah. What if the sidekick just was a second screen? So you flipped it up. It was like a normal phone, and then
It wasn't.
No, it used to be a keyboard.
Oh, right.
So what if it was just another touch screen, and then you have two screens on top?
Has
of
that
each
not
other?
been
like
tried
it.
yet?
I don't think so. The wing is kind of it, but that was like to a
was-
T with
yeah,
a
that was
smaller
weird.
screen. What if it went
Yeah.
whoosh that way and then
You guys need to
smack the lip?
If you're listening to the audio version, you're really missing out.
I would prefer that it went.
That's I don't think. Yeah, maybe that's not been tried yet.
That's the only thing I can think of because I'm not creative enough.
What has not been tried yet?
Crumple phone. I said it a few weeks ago on the podcast.
No, but that TCL concept accordion phone.
I was gonna say
It
accordion.
never actually came out, but
That was
the
real?
accordion phone. No, it didn't come out.
That was still folding though, right?
Yeah.
Just
But
a
it was
trifold.
But it was trifold.
Oh, so that's folding. Still.
Crumple phone
Yeah,
is
it was
like
crumple phone.
It was what I said on the podcast like a few weeks ago. It's a joke, but like, yeah, a phone that you can literally just go into your
the
hand
problem
and then sort of like shake it out like a beach towel.
But so then it's even bigger in your pocket. Like I think of that when like Claire,
receipts in my pocket.
Literally, yeah.
that's what Claire used to grab like poop bags to go on a dog walk, and rather than fold them up in nice, she would just crumple them. I was like, now it's this huge thing in my pocket, just like folded nice.
She crumpled it?
yeah. No, not with the poop.
Before picking it up. No, that's very different.
Thank God.
Before picking it up.
I was
When it was just a bag.
Oh, we need a new question so bad.
Claire. Anyway.
All right, next question. This one's from JMotion0 on Twitter. What's your go-to thing to do to pass the time when the power goes out at home?
Wow.
Marquez is about to flex on us. Marquez, how often does the power go out at your home?
I don't remember the last time that happened. No, I've had power outages at my old place, which was not that long ago. I would light a candle, and because then you could see stuff, and then
Yeah.
that was kind of it.
You just sat there in the dark.
with the candle.
What
I
else
think I
is
just
there to
watched
do?
the wax melt, basically.
That's actually pretty sick.
So you meditated, is what it sounds like.
Yeah.
So I don't have working cooking gas already.
David basically lives in a state of not having power. So sometimes.
My only lights that I ever have on in my apartment are like 3 string lights. My power bill last month was $11.
That's awesome.
Yeah, $11.
Do you know, this is off topic, do you know how many kilowatt hours?
I have
Did
no idea. I could probably look it up.
That's amazing.
It's probably less than the Prius generates per hour
You could just
for my entire
plug
month.
the car. Okay,
Plug
yeah.
the
okay.
Prius into my apartment. But when I was a kid, we had this like little chandelier over the dinner table, and we would put a bunch of candles in it. We'd light them, and we'd make hot chocolate with our gas stove, and we would play Texas Hold'em under the light.
I like that.
So
Cards.
that's pretty epic.
I like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it depends on if it's like power out because of like a storm, which is normally what it is, and just like I don't know, storms are kind of fun to watch
I could watch a
sometimes.
storm.
Like I could watch storms for hours, and then just
It's
get
true. Lightning
sad that I don't have internet and probably go to bed. Is
storms are epic.
lightning storms, wind storms. Like Sandy was wild to live through. Like I went out multiple times which probably shouldn't have, but like
I had no
it
power
was
for
pretty
2
crazy.
weeks, so
Yeah.
that was a lot
I
of burnout.
longboarded that night around my block just to say I did it.
You what? You
longboarded
longboarded?
around
I walked down
streets,
this
yeah.
neighborhood and like in the distance saw this just kind of big shadow in the street, and as we walked up, it was somebody's trampoline, like just in the middle of the street.
We had electrical fires everywhere, so everyone was told not to go outside.
Well, you had a crazy flooding in Hoboken too, right?
Yes.
Like you couldn't even really
Hoboken
get
was
onto
under
the street.
several feet
Yeah.
of water for a night.
That was mainland.
I was in beautiful sunny California.
You guys, you don't know what we're talking about.
I mean, I know Hurricane
Sandy.
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 Yeah, Sandy was
messed us up
nasty.
here, yeah.
For you guys, for Andrew and David, I asked ChatGPT, submit a question for the host of the Waveform podcast Q&A section. That's literally what I typed. Hello, Waveform podcast team. I've been an avid listener, and I truly appreciate your perspectives on the evolving tech landscape. I have a question regarding the intersection of AI and personal privacy. With AI becoming more sophisticated and integrated into our daily lives, what are some steps we, as consumers, can take to ensure our personal privacy isn't being compromised? Additionally,
We, the AI.
Yeah, I can see it with the fake mustache and the glasses. Like,
Additionally, how do you foresee the role of AI in shaping our privacy laws in the future? Thanks, and keep up the great show.
I feel like this is one of those things where it's like saying it's giving me an option, but is actually holding a gun to my head.
I
You don't
like
have to answer that. That's
No,
just
I'm
funny
not
that it
gonna
asked
answer.
about AI.
I just like how it pretended we, the consumer. Look at we.
humans.
All right. Do you have real human questions?
I do have a real human question, and it is related. This one is from at ULTgamer_07. How much, if at all, has your workflow changed since this AI began, and how?
I think we get asked this a lot.
It doesn't, like, from what I'm thinking, you guys maybe on the writing side a bit more. Like, the most I've really seen it used in the studio is sometimes when we're brainstorming, like, title, like studio video or waveform title ideas. When we have like a thumbnail already, we'll be like, man, we think it's like this or kind of like this vibe. So like, let's let ChatGPT write 10 options of different ways to word all of this. We might have used one at some point, or like I remember Ellis one time we were doing that. Other than that, I don't really touch it. I also don't pay for it. So
Yeah, it's like a brainstorming tool. I've mostly used it in the writing process for coming up with
Alliterations.
alliterations for sure.
yes,
And then just random different new angles to look at things. So if you ask it a question that I already have my answer to, just to see how it answers it, sometimes it might throw in a random variable. I was like, oh, I didn't even talk about the size of this phone. Oh, I didn't even talk about the buttons. There's just little random stuff it'll come up with. So yeah, brainstorming process.
Yeah. I ask GPT-4 and Bard different things on various occasions just to, like, every time they get a new feature, which happens fairly frequently, just to sort of keep up with it. And then also whenever we have like these discussions in the office around like different paradoxes and different things that have not necessarily been answered, like how many holes are in a straw. And I like to ask the AI just to see what it thinks. And generally it does not help solve the question, but it
AI loves to be like,
adds some
well,
fun to it.
I'm an AI, so like I don't really know.
As an AI language model.
But here's what some people might say.
Yeah,
then
exactly.
say both
Which is
answers.
basically just saying the answer, but
Cop out.
you know, cop out. Yeah, mostly that. I think that, Ellis has been using some AI audio tools. Tim, I think, should try using some of the AI content overfill stuff.
Yeah, especially now that
for thumbnails, because it's just thumbnails, right?
and I think this week Adobe officially added generative fill.
They did.
Too.
I've been playing with it a little bit.
Yeah, it seems
just
really
for
good.
meme potential.
Yeah.
The meme potential is quite
meme,
high.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm about to put out a studio channel video on this, so you'll get all the details later. But
For audio.
yeah, I use Auphonic as an audio AI all the time, and also I use the Runway video machine learning AI all the time.
Is that runway or runaway?
Runway.
Runway.
Yeah, as long as the tool's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
Next question. This one is from CR_C2CV. How has the framework Chromebook been for David and Mel? More specifically, how has the experience been on Chrome OS? Which is a great question.
That is a good question. I've seen a lot of tweets and also messages on Discord of people asking about this. I got sent it just because I like the idea of the framework laptop. You can literally swap out all of the ports. So if you don't want an HDMI, you can swap it out for a USB-C. You can swap out the USB-C for an audio jack, whatever you want. Having trouble doing it right now, which is, but you can swap out a million things. The Chrome OS one is expensive for a Chromebook, and I think I still kind of maintain that Chromebooks only have a space in being cheap. There are a lot of expensive Chromebooks that are quite good. It's just that the point of Chrome OS is not to do difficult, heavy tasks. If you have an Android phone and you don't do heavy creative tasks, there are a lot of integrations with Chrome OS and Android, which is cool.
Yeah.
You can message through Google Messages right on Chrome OS. You can get your notifications on there. Technically, you can boot Android apps on Chrome OS and use them, which is cool.
When they added that.
You can technically also do that with iOS on Mac OS, but nobody ever does because it's just the shape of an iPhone and it's the shape of an Android phone on this. And it's why would you do that? For the podcast, super easy, super great. My main problem with it right now is that the standby battery life is not very good. And battery life on Chrome OS is also supposed to be one of the main reasons that you buy them. But I leave the lid closed, and if I don't use it for a week, I would expect a Chromebook to still have battery left, but it always dies. So I have to plug it in the day before. Beyond that, though, the hardware is super good. Keyboard is really good. I love the expandability. You can swap out the display panel, and it has these clickers for turning on and off the ability for it to use the microphone or the webcam. Hard switches for that.
Nice.
Basically every single part of it is hot swappable, which is really awesome. I'm most interested in trying the Windows version of this, and also specifically the 16-inch when that comes out, which has a modular GPU aspect, and you can also swap out the speakers for LED light panels and stuff. That seems a lot more like the future of framework. Chrome OS it's a really interesting concept, but considering a lot of the benefits of it, like battery life, have been very upended by M1, it's hard to recommend expensive Chromebooks.
Yeah. The main advantage of Chromebooks being that they can be so cheap and get 90-something% of what you normally do on a laptop. done.
And I can't run Arc on it
Oh,
because
yeah.
it's Chrome only
Oh,
for
that's
the
a great
internet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, I've heard good things about the framework, the 16-inch one, the modular GPU, all this stuff like that you just don't see in other laptops, which is really interesting.
When it comes out.
When it does come out.
Yeah, they announced it. So, yeah, I have gotten a bazillion questions on it. I would really love to try the Windows version. So, Framework, if you hear this and you want to send me a Windows version, let me know. I'm DerbitamL on Twitter. Yeah. Send it. Do it.
I'm going to try and wrap a lot of questions that we got asked into one because they're all sort of circling around each other.
Interesting.
Pixel Fold. Are you excited? Are you not excited? Will it be disruptive? Will it be a blurb? And then finally, who is going to Daily One when it comes out?
I am absolutely going to try it for a little bit.
100%.
For
I
sure.
will be. I am excited about it. The other question, will it be disruptive? I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's
It can be not-
$1,800.
There's a lot of really good foldable phones out right now.
It can be not disruptive and still not a blurb though. Like
Yeah.
I would say like in the middle there. I don't think it's gonna be disruptive. It's not undercutting Samsung and stuff like that, but it's
I think software-wise, it will be much more important than it is hardware-wise.
Yeah, I agree.
Because of what's going on with Android 14, and obviously what Google's doing with optimizations for folding phones. So the fact that it exists will make it important, but it won't have any sort of what's the word when it like interrupts the market.
Disruptive.
It won't be disruptive.
Yeah.
It will help move things forward. I think.
That what's interesting is there was this article that was circulating this week that said that Google was originally going to launch it a little bit ago, but they didn't think it was good enough, so they waited and they kept refining it. But yet it still kind of feels like a first-gen foldable from Google. The hardware is really high quality,
Yeah.
but I feel like the refinements of like, I know everyone like, there's a huge debate about the bezel size, but when you compare that to the other more mature foldables on the market, like the Z Fold, it is kind of hard to look past.
I'm
and
very
then also the
curious.
crease seems more intense than other foldables as well.
Yeah. I mean, I spent very little time with it, so I don't know enough if I can say the crease was that different from others, but I do want to daily it and use it because I
Yeah.
feel like this is going to help me instruct obviously, I'm going to review it. I'm going to really put it to the test. But this is the type of phone that I would use and almost never recommend. It's one of those.
Yeah.
So,
It's the Omega Nerd phone.
yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting, though. I'm excited for it.
Yeah. I love having all the Pixel features on a foldable. I think that's what
Yep.
everyone's been wanting for a long time. You had to choose between the two, and now you get both.
Yeah. And we'll see if that bezel gets annoying or if I'm just like, wow, the selfie
I don't
camera's
care.
better
Yeah.
and real.
Yeah. Right.
You know?
That's true.
This question is from Justin G1419 on Twitter. Never thought I'd say this, but as a fellow millennial, I'd love more videos
I know this one
like
already.
Andrew McNally's lawnmower review. Do you guys have any other recommendations for home maintenance related tech?
You use a lot of the Ego stuff, right?
Home, I wouldn't say a lot.
You have a couple. You
I-
have the snowblower.
I just have the snowblower.
You don't have like the leaf blower or the string trimmer.
I bought a leaf blower a long time ago, so I haven't done
okay.
that. But
Isn't
I
a
have
leaf blower and a snow blower the same thing?
no,
They're different things?
Very different.
very
Yeah.
different.
okay.
Think of it as like a snow thrower.
like scoop snow up
Got
and-
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of them's for leaves and one of them's for snow.
Surprised you didn't know that.
Thanks,
Yeah.
David.
So I have the Ego snow blower,
Okay.
and I bought it right before we got zero snow for an entire winter.
we get anything
So
this year.
I've had those chargers on the battery on the charger like all winter and never used them. But yeah, theoretically, there's a whole ecosystem of products. But I have like a plug-in. I call it an air rake. I don't know if anyone else calls it that.
Air
Leaf
rake.
blower, air rake.
That's kind of
I have
cool.
a plug-in leaf blower with a 100-foot extension cable, so I can walk around with an electric leaf blower, but it doesn't use the batteries. So, yeah. I mean, it seems like the lawnmower is the sort of apex of it.
Hell yeah.
Doesn't get any better.
It's like the flagship
I've
product.
been thoroughly enjoying it, by the way. Still love it. Yeah, I have a bunch of the other Ego stuff, and then other than that, it's like it's not super techy, but just all power tools are electric at this point, and you kind of buy into an ecosystem. So I'm in the Milwaukee ecosystem mostly. What the hell was that for?
Wait, what's
I don't
the
know.
other ecosystem? It's like the two main ones, right? Milwaukee's the yellow one.
DeWalt.
DeWalt
DeWalt
is
is the other
huge,
one,
but there's still like Ryobi and Black and Decker
Yeah.
and
And they all have a color.
what's the blue one?
Yeah.
Blue,
Rhino or something.
Cobalt.
Cobalt.
Yeah,
Oh, Cobalt is
there's a
blue.
lot of them. There's a lot.
Cobalt is blue.
Yeah, I got into Milwaukee just because my brother-in-law has every single Milwaukee tool you could ever think of, so it's very easy for me to go borrow it and still use all my battery chargers and
batteries.
stuff. But like, the Ego stuff felt a little more like there was a bit more in it. That's why I made a video. Whereas like my my impact driver just has a battery that I use
just- I
for
was
my
just-
drill as well.
I was just picturing like that conversation we had earlier about like 14 standards. Now there's 15. And I'm just like, what if Milwaukee just started using DeWalt's charger or something? Like, how weird would that be? It would just be such an odd thing
they're all
for
the
them to
same.
do. They're not going to
Crazy.
collab ever. I
Do you
don't
have
think.
power tools? What do you use?
I have one. What's the yellow one?
DeWalt.
DeWalt. I have one power drill, and that's my only power tool.
Get an impact driver.
impact driver. I mean, I
They're
don't
awesome.
have to hang that many things.
It's just
really.
worth it.
Oh, it's just
It's
a tool
awesome.
to have.
It's the power.
The question asked about home maintenance. So I will give the shout out that Dyson was probably hoping I would give 1,000 times.
Yo.
The Dyson vacuum. It's incredible. I highly recommend it.
We bought one finally the other day. Claire was using it and she's like, why did we not buy this? And I told her, I was like, Marquez used to try to convince me at work all the time. And I was like, no, it doesn't make sense for us. And now we have it.
And you walk around from room
We have
to
not
room with that
touched
thing.
the other vacuum since then. It's incredible. It was like $400, best $400 we've spent.
Yeah.
My favorite home appliance is the propane camping stove that I use because I don't have working cooking gas.
Wait, so
Nice. We'll put the affiliate
it's
link
just-
to that in the show notes.
like it's on the floor?
No, it's on top of my stove.
Oh, I see.
Like
For
those
now. I
camping
mean, you
stoves?
could put it on the floor if you wanted to.
I see. Okay.
If you really wanted to cook the floor soup, but I cook it on the stove, but on top of the.
Yeah, on top.
This question brought to you by being old.
And living in the oldest building in your apartment,
Maintenance.
in your neighborhood. Anyway,
One more?
I want to sue your landlord.
I want
I want to sue them
someone,
so bad.
someone to sue. your
Mr. Landlord, if you're listening to this,
Yeah.
Fix
What's his name? Say it.
Dachshund. Where do you live?
landlord. Name of shame.
all I'll say is that they said that they would fix it 8 months ago, and it's been 8 months.
Damn.
You should get it in writing so you can sue him.
Yeah.
Oh, I have it
I would
in
just
writing.
stop paying. Anyway,
Sorry, guys.
this last question, I think we've done quite enough.
Wow.
This last question comes from Harsh Patel at Harsh Pats. We just saw David take a lovely vacation with his 50 different cameras.
I only brought 6
Would love to know more about everyone else's favorite
cameras.
vacations.
Wait, that's it?
Wait, favorite vacations?
Well, everyone else's favorite vacations they've had or are planning, but
Oh, vacations.
Yeah.
Not cameras. I thought you said.
David said cameras.
Sorry.
Oh. Oh, man. I thought this was the one asking what your favorite photo you ever took was. And I had a favorite photo.
Well, are you on a vacation when you took the
I
photo?
was.
Okay.
That would probably-
So
I have to
you could work
find
it
the
in.
photo. That part's going to be tough.
Is that the one of the with the valley with the X100?
The crazy goat picture.
No, it's the goat picture.
Goat picture?
Yeah. I have a.
What'd you do
I
with
wonder
He's
if I
got a
can
gnarly
find
goat
this.
picture.
LeBron James was not happy.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys talk while I find this.
Was it amateur or was it with your GoPro?
Goat Pro.
Goat amateur. Jesus.
Favorite vacation you've ever been on?
Favorite vacation. I mean, Hawaii is my favorite place to vacation. I think I've been 3 times now. I like Hawaii. I've only been to one island though, so I should probably.
Oh,
Right?
that's a
pretty
goat,
nice picture.
dude.
Yeah, that's
Damn.
the hardest core goat you've ever seen.
That's a mountain goat.
Yeah.
Christ.
There's
Andrew
a-
finally found a picture
That's
and
not
showing
on,
everyone
yeah.
the
Season
goat.
That's really
55.
sharp.
It's really sharp,
What'd you
right?
take that with?
A7R2 with
Oh, nice.
like 24 to 105.
Dope, dude.
We were pretty close to it because of the place we hiked. We were in Glacier National Park, which I think I have to say is like
I wanna go
also
there
my favorite
so
vacation because I
bad.
also got engaged during that trip.
Oh.
So that was a lot of fun. But the wildlife is crazy. It was this trail where it was really snow covered, so not many people hiked up it. And there's just a group of mountain goats up there, and like I'm behind a walkway, but I have like the camera through the little like guardrail, and then zoomed in on it, and then I can't find the other picture, but the next one it looks straight at me, and I go like I'm too close here. It's time to
It's gonna
leave.
ram you.
But yeah, this is probably my favorite picture I've ever taken.
That does remind me of I did go to Yosemite National Park once when I was a kid, and we went into the redwood forest at a picnic table and started eating, and the ravens would kind of just sort of chill. Like they didn't like come up to you like pigeons in New York City, but they would like happily like swoop down,
Yeah.
investigate. And I was super into ravens at the time, so I was like, "Yeah, this is sick. Look at these big birds."
They're smart. We did a hike in Yosemite up towards the top. It kind of like overlooks the whole valley. And while you're up there, the ravens are just flying around where you are because you're on this little ridge.
Yeah,
And if you walk away from your backpacks, they jump over to your backpacks and start opening,
they're
like
smart.
undoing the zippers.
They'll undo
yeah.
zippers. Yeah, they're smart birds. That's fire.
I love Yosemite. I've been there many times. I
amazing.
was there in October, and it is freaking beautiful.
It really is.
I would love to go to Glacier at some point.
You definitely should, and I will tell you all the good places.
I'm
to
gonna
go
free
there.
solo El Cap.
Sick.
No cap.
Do what you want.
No cap, L cap.
I don't know if I could pick a favorite place. There's too many that I've been to, and they're all pretty.
Humble flex.
Is Iceland in the top 50% or bottom 50%?
Iceland's up there because it feels like Mars. Other ones I love like the remote parts of Denmark. I love Portugal. I love Japan.
What was the mountain you took? I keep wanting to call it the Toblerone, but
the Matterhorn.
Matterhorn.
Yeah,
Matador.
that was like
Sick.
That picture is incredible.
yeah. There's like a really remote village in Switzerland. Trying to remember what it's called. You have to take like a 4-hour wooden rickety train there, and it was blizzarding when I was going at 2 a.m. and I was like, I'm gonna get blown off these tracks.
Jeez.
I got there and I'm like walking through the village, and there's just these insanely rich people that are walking towards me at like 2 a.m. And they're like, "Welcome to Zermatt," and it was like 2 a.m.
You're in a movie.
Holy crap! Yeah, and then the Matterhorn is just there,
Like
just
looming over the whole town.
looming.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was nuts.
That's so cool.
Anyway, it's very cool.
It's a good one to end
Very
it on.
pretty place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we should go over the questions that you guys had for us at the very end, the trivia questions.
The best questions,
All right.
some would say. All right, quick recap on the score. Marquez with 18, Andrew with 15, David with 19. In 2005, Motorola launched the Razr V3i, adopting the i to signal a collab with Apple. What Apple software did the phone have built in? Write your answers.
1994. Wait.
2005.
Oh.
Where on earth did he get that number?
This
Time's
is really
winding down.
difficult. I feel like they wouldn't allow this.
Final Cut's on everything now.
All right.
All right, flip them and read. What do you got?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, we all put the
We
same
all
thing.
put the same
We
one.
all put
Which is
iTunes.
iTunes.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, cool.
Nice.
Yeah. This was a weird time.
I'm surprised they allowed that.
Yeah, they had iPods and they were like, well, what if phones had iTunes?
Before
And
the
then-
iPhone.
Before the iPhone.
But I bet it had way less storage, and then people were like, "Well, I'll just get it."
So there was a caveat there. Despite the fact that you should have been able to hold, closer to like 400 songs given the memory on this Razr, or like the maximum expandable memory possible, depending on which flash of the ROM you had, you were limited to either 50 or 100 songs, even if you had the space for it.
The other caveat is that you could only play U2's album that got preloaded.
I could see that actually being. Yeah, that's pretty classic Apple.
I'm joking, Alice.
No, yeah, but the limiting of the songs is very Apple.
Yeah.
Right,
Very
but
Apple.
U2's Vertigo came out in 2004, meaning there's a chance. I just think that song is ridiculous.
So you're saying there's a chance.
yeah.
There was a special U2 iPod Classic, which is amazing.
All right, this next one is multiple choice. Remember, it's about the Silicon Valley, also known as the Santa Clara Valley. That's its actual name.
Yeah.
Before it was known as Silicon Valley, it was known as A, the Golden Valley, named after the Golden State. For those outside the U.S., all 50 states each have like a nickname. Like New York is the Empire State, California is the Golden State.
New Jersey's the pork roll state.
That one's not true.
New Jersey is in
But
fact,
people outside of here don't need to know that.
That's true.
Do you know what it is, Ellis?
of course, it's the Garden State.
Yeah.
Is there that many gardens here?
That's
They
why
had-
I
they
think
had to
about
choose
every
something.
state name. Every state name, I go, are there that many? Both. Sunshine State, really?
There are that
You
many
guys have
suns.
hurricanes, bro.
Lots of sunshines.
Georgia, Peach, really? Peach State? I don't
Is
know.
that actually what it is? The Peach
I don't
State?
think. I think that's their license plate, actually.
A, Golden State, or excuse me, Golden Valley. Blah.
Golden
B.
Valley?
The Lally Valley, named after the village of Lally in the French Isère region.
How do you spell that?
Lally?
Yeah.
Exactly like Valley, but with an L.
Oh, really?
Lally Valley.
Lalley.
Yeah. Yes. Lally Valley. Had to double check, but
If it's real.
yeah.
Anyway.
The Lally Valley, again, named after the village of Lally in the French, it's like region of Isère. And that took me a long time to figure out how to pronounce. C, the Valley of Heart's Delight, named for its high concentration of orchards and flowering fruits. Or D, Arroyo Diablo, Arroyo being the Spanish word for a flood basin, and Diablo coming from the Diablo Mountains immediately north of Santa Clara.
This is difficult. Good job.
This is not tech at all.
No.
Silicon Valley.
baby.
Yeah, it's tech adjacant.
That's
It wasn't Silicon Valley, though.
no amount of tech knowledge would help us answer this question.
That's true.
The internet could.
That's. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. Just kidding. I wrote an answer.
I'm nervous.
David, what did you put? Who wants to go first?
I
Mark.
put B.
So, the Lally Valley.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Dang.
I put the Lally Valley.
Nice.
I put Arroyo. I put D.
It was C, wasn't it?
It was, in fact, C,
That
the
was-
Valley of Heart's Delights. But I do appreciate that both of you guys thought the Lally Valley.
Okay, so hold on. So like when I asked you to spell it, you didn't look and spell it down. I was like, it's definitely not that. But then you like did a really good job saving yourself about like saying like learning how to pronounce all
Lally
these things.
is a real city in France. It has a
Okay.
population of about 300, and it is, in fact, in
Yeah.
the region of Isère.
Yeah,
It
my-
just has nothing to do with Silicon Valley.
So my two guesses were going to be that because there's so much wine made in the Sonoma Valley,
Excellent.
which is very close
Yeah.
to the Silicon Valley.
That's exactly what I was thinking, and I definitely didn't just Google the word Lally and backform
Why would
that
you do?
word.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
You
Stupid.
wait, you didn't, right?
No, I did. I just Googled the word Lally because I thought Lally Valley sounded really funny, and then, backformed the answer.
Wow, I wish I was French.
Yeah, he got you guys.
All right. The C. The reason I almost put C, which is I guess real, because there's a lot of fruit in California.
Yeah.
You can pick it off the trees. There's lots of orchards, but the problem is there are lots of orchards all throughout California. It's not just that area of
Yeah.
California.
Is D a real place?
Probably. There's lots of places in California that start with Arroyo because California has lots of
I
arroyos.
just figure there's so many Spanish named
Yeah.
Los Angeles, like everything San Andreas,
San Francisco,
everything south is like
San
Spanish
Diego.
named. I just figured it was another Spanish name.
Yeah. Well, the U.S. bought California from Mexico, right?
Arroyo Diablo is actually in Texas.
Also, bought is a strong word for one went down.
Yeah. Yeah. I would have. Yeah.
On that note, thanks for watching the Waveform podcast, where you can always expect a whole bunch of tech and just a little bit of history on the side. Hope you learned something today. Thanks for watching and listening. Hopefully you'll catch us with a very special, out of your typical scheduled programming episode during WWDC week. Stay tuned to the feed. Expect it.
Oh yeah.
Expect.
Get ready for it.
Oh.
Set your notifications because it's happening. It's coming in hot. We got a lot to talk about. But other than that, we will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.
I'm glad that our trivia points did not really move.
Waveform is produced by Adam Molina and Ellis Rovin. We're partnered with the Vox Media Podcast Network, and our intro-outro music was created by Vane Still.